With only 1 week for aspiring fiscal experts to apply for National Treasury's Director General position, many are questioning whether government will choose someone with left-leaning tendencies as the country embarks on its new growth path.
We have to consider the possibility that the new emphasis in macroeconomic policy coming from the new growth path and elsewhere is no longer, it doesn't fit perfectly with what the Treasury has said and done and the way that they have conducted macroeconomic policy. Whether they're moving Lesetja Kanyago out of the way and into the Reserve Bank so that a more interventionist and a more left policy, a policy that relies more on government price setting in various markets, I must tell you, I doubt it.
But in reality, I think the market is watching this so closely the government wouldn't be able to get away with it anyway. But I think in general, given that Pravin Gordhan, the finance minister, will be so closely involved in the appointment, and indeed other people who are more investor friendly in the cabinet, such as Trevor Manuel, probably will have a hand in it, that there is probably very little scope actually for this sort of shift to the left to happen. But certainly something that the market is watching for.
Our fiscal framework is fairly well defined. It leaves very little discretion to operate in. However, if you want to bend the rules, gradually you will destroy the credibility of the institution. Politically you can do it, but then 2, 3, 4, 5 years later, National Treasury is no longer the National Treasury that Lesetja has left behind.
For the man born in Alexandra Township near Johannesburg, it's been a long journey to the top of public service. After a stint at FNB, he worked as an accountant for COSATU and the ANC. And as South Africa took its first steps as a democracy in 1994, Kanyago was studying for a Master's in Economics in London. He returned to a post at Treasury in 1996 and became Director General in 2004, a post he held for 7 years.
Under his tenure, up to about 2 years ago, state debt relative to GDP came down quite significantly to very, very low levels, to just over 20% relative to GDP.
His consistent effort to take the country back in 1995-96 from a country that hadn't been rated by investment agencies, global rating agencies, set the stage, do what it needed to be done to rate the country, then take it from below investment grade to investment grade and above investment grade. The consistent oversubscription by the international capital market, every time that South Africa over the past 5-6 years has issued international bonds, has been a testimony to obviously the country's success, but also his personal credibility, having been at the forefront of interaction and engagement with the capital market.
Lesetja positioned the National Treasury to be very close to markets, to business and investors, and understand their needs. And also the power base that the National Treasury built up, and indeed he himself, over that time, has allowed policy within Cabinet to be driven very heavily by the National Treasury, and ultimately, I think, secure South Africa's position as an investment destination.
Many see this as a sideways move, but financially, it's certainly a promotion. Kanyago will double his salary to around 3.4 million rand.
I started as a waste clerk, and waste is not rubbish. It stands for written and sundry teller entries. That's what I used to do. So my passion is banking, and I'm glad that the president had given me an opportunity to serve the country once again, this time as the Deputy Governor of the South African Reserve Bank.
Here in Sandton, the country's financial district, most are reassured that Kanyago will continue to serve the country, just wearing a different hat. The big question, though, is who will now serve as Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan's right-hand man? Treasury, with its pool of highly skilled technical experts, could promote one of its own to this key government position.
There are pros and cons of internal as opposed to external appointments. External appointments, if they are competent, they bring new perspectives. So it begins to enrich the existing capabilities. However, if the experience and if the capabilities are not fit, then they come from outside and they disrupt a machine that works well.
I think investors definitely are going to be looking for who is the replacement, the Director General at National Treasury. And the key reason for that, again, is the power that the institution has within government, within the cabinet in South Africa. There is a very, very strong pool of talent in the National Treasury to choose from, or from people who worked there recently and perhaps now work for Trevor Manuel.
Kanyago moves to the Reserve Bank May 16th, giving him time to settle ahead of October's medium-term budget policy statement. In the meantime, the investment community is eager to find out who will take on the responsibility of managing South Africa's fiscus.